It's time for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Sully's College Football Page is brought to you by the Hilltop Bar, Advantage Insurance, Tommy's Express Car Wash, Dwayne's Cover It All, Buck's Golf Shop, Jim Creeshock Jewelry, Big Fat Design, Sun Printing, Lot Nose, the Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, Mensner Hardwoods, Krasowski Dental, the Cloverbelt Credit Union, France Propane, Subway, Webco of Wausau, the Kuhn Hearing Center, Carmelo's and Rip Mountain Golf Course, Joe Rader Towing, the Dirks Group, the Intermission Lounge, the Brokaw Credit Union, Champion Insurance, Trap River Golf Club, Central Wisconsin School of Ballet, Red Clover Market, Mountain Bay Auto Care, Charlie's Bar, the People's State Bank, the Mint Cafe, North End Pub, and the Travel Leaders. It's time now for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. And good morning and welcome to another edition of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app. And of course, you can also catch us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and then search the 98.9 WXCO channel. Click on the live link and you'll be able to see us live during this program. And then also you can also go back and watch it later or watch previous shows as well, all on our YouTube channel. I am Chad Holmes along with Dan Sullivan. Sully, good morning and happy 2026.
How about that? You know,
how about that is right.
It seemed like we just started this a few weeks back, and that was in around August 23rd. Excuse me. So I don't know, Chad, for you, but this stuff doesn't race by. It zooms by.
Well, frankly, when I say 2026, I think it's still the 1980s and 1990s. So, so you're talking about just flying right on by. Every month and every year goes by faster and faster and faster. And I keep telling people, I look down at my feet and I keep looking for a brake pedal to slow things down, but nothing ever slows down. We have not figured out a way to slow down time quite yet. But this season is just flown right on by. We're down to the Final Four, and we're heading towards the finish line in a couple of weeks.
We certainly are. You know, we got two games Thursday and Friday, and then we got a week, and then the championship game will be on the 19th. And this is the first Saturday, Chad, since what have been August 23rd, 24th, whatever that Saturday was, that we don't have any college football games on today. None.
So we get a chance to sit back and review what's been going on. We'll look ahead at those semifinals. We have a couple of guests coming in later in this hour. So
we do.
Still a full 2 hours of college football talk here on 98.9 WXCO. Well, let's jump in and let's talk about what's been going on, because they may not be bowl games today. There have been a lot of bowl games up to this point. I mean, now with the season stretching out further, because back not too long ago, it used to be basically Thanksgiving weekend would be the end of the regular season.
Yes.
And then you would have a pretty good gap between then and the bowl season. Nowadays, you have that regular season that goes longer. Then you have the conference championship games, and there's a very small gap. And in a sense, I kind of miss where you had a chance to almost take a deep breath and then go into the bowls. Right now, it feels like there's never a stop. It just
Chad, there literally is not, because you have the championship week is always that first week in December, you know, because the rivalry week is that Thanksgiving week. So that kind of flows together. And then you always have the traditional Army-Navy game. And coupled with that, we had a bowl this year. Washington played Boise on that same day. Plus, you got the FCS tournament rolling. So there is virtually no break anymore. It just flows.
That first game, that LA Bowl, is one that I think people have to start thinking a little bit more about, because I actually had friends who live in Southern California in over the holidays. And no, that actually there would be a thought of going, but there were 6 days between the time that the pairing was announced and they played the game.
Right.
That's just not right. That there has to be something that's done where you have that, even for the teams to prepare. I mean, to say, okay, on Sunday, here's who you're playing, then on Saturday you play the game. That's kind of rough, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm a traditionalist in the sense that Army Navy game should be kind of a standalone. I'm always thinking the FCS. Yeah, fine. You need to start. Well, then play on Friday night. I mean, I know the high school would conflict there, but
high school's done by that point.
Yeah, so so the reality is you keep that kind of sacrosanct, and it just is a time where we kind of honor those who are serving us. But that's kind of gone south now too, with the time constraints, to get it all in and get it done. Now we're still playing college football January 19th, so it's a different world we're in.
It certainly is. And I mean, you can talk about, I guess, some positives, as you're not speculating on who the national champion is, but at the same time, I just think even New Year's Day, yes, you had the playoff games. It just doesn't feel the same as it used to.
It's not.
You're right. Not. You're exactly right.
And the debate that used to go on that were pretty fierce are now kind of they've dissipated. Which you understand the need to settle it on the field, but that was fun back then. You could argue about, is it the Big Ten? Is it the Big 12? What about the SEC? And so on.
Well, let's talk. We're going to talk about the college football playoff matchups that we just saw in our second segment. In this segment, let's talk a little bit in the past week where there were so many games. I mean, there were a lot of games involved in bowls. One of the games, and I actually saw this stat. I guess I'll start here, and then we can kind of talk about other things that kind of came up during the course of the bowl games in the past week. There was the Pop-Tart Bowl, which is one of the the names that you almost shake your head a little bit, but the ratings for that game were just massive.
Well, that was BYU and Georgia Tech, right?
I believe so. Yep, that's right. And it had like more than 7 million people. It was like the highest rated bowl game outside of the playoffs in a number of years. So, and I'm trying to think, why do you think that game got so many folks? I was just, that matchup didn't really jump off the page. I thought if there was any that would have maybe, Penn State Clemson, because of the traditional powers, maybe that would be the one. But the Pop-Tart Bowl, I guess the bottom line is, there is, to a certain extent, an insatiable appetite for these games, even if they don't really mean anything.
Yeah, I think BYU was the second team out, so there was some interest there. And then, and I'm not sure what I'm going to say is going to answer it. Haynes King, the quarterback at Georgia Tech, is always a guy that people enjoy watching. The game was entertaining. I think it ended up 25-21.
Yep.
So it was, Sully Kataki was, he was going to, he was rumored to be going to several places, and he ended up staying home. BYU has kind of reemerged now as more of a national power than what they have been in the past. So I guess there are factors, but none of them seem to warrant 7 million viewers.
And also last Saturday, we were talking on the show about how many games there were. I believe there were 8 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right.
But when you look at it, there was a wide variety in terms of the way the games went. We had a couple of games that were rather low scoring. You had a 13-7 game between Virginia and Missouri in the Gator Bowl. You had an 18-3 score in the Arizona Bowl between Fresno and Miami of Ohio. Then you had 49-47 with North Texas and San Diego State. You had the wild game between Houston and LSU at 38-35. I mean, I didn't see a real pattern involved in a lot of these games. It felt like different matchups led to different kinds of games, and it really was a smorgasbord of activity last Saturday.
Yeah, and for me, there was a lot of interest in last week's games. East Carolina, they're from North Carolina. For people are wondering which state, north or south. It's north. They played Pitt and beat them. And that was a big deal because that's an American team, and they most often compare themselves to the ACC. And so here you had two middling teams in those respective leagues. And East Carolina, they got it done. And then, the Penn State Clemson game, Chad, that was, some people were projecting that as the national championship game back in July and August. Penn State came out and got that done 22-10. And then I'm kind of going through here. I was a little surprised that Army kind of handled UConn. Connecticut had a very good year. Now, Jim Mora left, but I'll tell you, Army and Navy, those teams have won in the last 2 years. They've won 40 games between them. I mean, Army last year won 12, and I think they won 9 or 10 this year. Navy has won 11 back-to-back years, the first time in the history they've ever done that. So, for me, I still find a lot of interest in the bowl games, although I know some people are waning on them.
Well, I mean, there seems to be the interest because, at least for television entertainment, I think sometimes there's a difference between the amount of people that show up in a stadium, and so much of, I think, the pageantry of the game is trying to have a full stadium, but you just don't have it. I mean, and I think part of it again is there is a not the same amount of time to get people ready to get down there because the season ends so late in that realm, and all the interest that's put on the playoff. But I don't think that there's going to be any changes anytime soon when you do see the kind of ratings that these networks do get. I mean, it just really is amazing that there is a lot of interest. And again, I would say this year in terms of the competitiveness, there was a lot of competitive games, a lot of games that went down to the wire, a lot of interesting finishes. I wanted to ask you about that Houston LSU game because,
Willie,
I mean, Houston did have a nice bounce back season this year, and LSU, of course, is going to be completely different. It was almost like the end of one era, and then they'll start the new Lane Kiffin era next year. And for Houston to win that game, I think it was probably significant for them, wasn't it?
I thought so, and this is kind of a consistent mark for Willie Fritz. He always starts out with a little bit of a struggle in his first year, and then right away the second year he's back at it. So they had a great year. I think it's their second or third year in the FBS, and for them to go out and take on LSU, who is one of the top recruiting programs in the country, and just outscore them. I mean, they struggled to stop them, which is easily explained by the talent roster that LSU has. But man, their offense, they just kept going and got this done. A very impressive win for Houston.
Two other games I want to talk about. We'll talk about the Big Ten games later when we have our Big Ten segment, but the two games outside of the Big Ten, the games that involve Big Ten teams, I thought, I want to talk about one Big Ten
okay,
game
do whatever.
But the TCU USC game,
yes,
it was again a game that went overtime, and it was a very interesting game. But it seemed like such a microcosm of the Lincoln Riley era.
Yeah.
Very, at times entertaining, but at the end, really not as successful as you would expect. And to lose to TCU, which is, again, a good team this year, not the kind of team that we saw when they made it to the college football playoff. But for USC, again, it's just the same old, isn't it?
Yeah, they were missing their receivers, which was a big part. Lemon and Lane, those kids didn't play, and yet they still had the roster to beat TCU. And TCU, Chad, I believe I read where 11 guys opted to go into the NFL draft. 11 guys. Now that's different than going in the portal, because when you go into the portal, you could be a third stringer and you're trying to see if you can get to a place where you could actually play. This is the NFL draft. So when I saw they were losing that many good players, I didn't think there was a way that they'd be able to play against that SC roster. But man, they did. Really a exciting game, a fun game to watch. Ended up 30-27 in OT. And all that is true. It was a terrible loss for SC. And I'll tell you, their fan base let Lincoln Riley have it about they're tired of this kind of stuff based on who they are historically.
I mean, I don't know exactly what his contract details are, but it feels like 2026 is almost to the point it's going to be make or break for him, which it just feels like it's been long enough where he either is going to be able to do it, or I think USC is probably going to look in a different direction.
I think it's related to his buyout. I think they're not in a position where they want to spend that much money, and they're still winning games, and they're still USC, so they're able to kind of move forward with their past. But you're right. Sooner or later, that's going to change, and it's probably, Chad, if this keeps up, sooner than later.
And then the final game in this segment to talk about was the Sun Bowl, because I thought for Duke it was important for them to win that game. I think because they won the ACC championship game. They wanted to get into the playoff. They did not get into it. But I think for them to be able to win that game was important. And they were able to outscore Arizona State 42-38.
Yeah, and the way they won. I mean, they came out and they put points up. They lost 5 games during the regular season. And some of their losses were hard to explain. UConn beat them. I want to say that they lost another game to Army.
Tulane beat them.
Tulane beat them, and that may be who I'm thinking is American team. So, yeah, that whole thing with the ACC was kind of a mess as you got closer to the end. Your champion has 5 losses because a tiebreaker that Einstein couldn't understand. They keep their best team, Miami, out of the playoff, which then created a lot of the angst with 2 group of 5 instead of 1 getting in because of Duke winning it. So, yeah, I was glad for them, too. They went out and just said, hey, we're going to get this done. And they beat a pretty athletic Arizona State team.
All right, so that's a lot of the bowl games that occurred in the past week. Coming up, we will talk about the big games that occurred, the quarterfinals, and again, some very interesting results there as we head down the stretch in terms of the college football playoff. So that is coming up next as we continue here on this Saturday morning, winter Saturday morning here in North Central Wisconsin. It is Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Choose an agency with true 5G coverage. Advantage Insurance of Wausau. Great companies, great agents, great service, great rates, and great claims results. At Advantage Insurance, they support our local community and back you always. Call Advantage Insurance today for all of your insurance needs, or go to AdvantageInsuranceWausau.com. They offer top-rated coverage and the best agents that provide you a true 5G experience for the best total coverage for all your insurance needs.
Chief, we've got a situation.
What is it?
Trouble at the naval base, sir. I'll put it on the screen.
Jiminy Christmas, what happened to all our boat covers?
That's not the worst of it, sir.
No!
Afraid so, sir.
Not the boat upholstery, too. All those holes? It looks like Swiss cheese.
It's funny you mention that, sir. We found the culprit.
All right, Mouse, who are you working for? The Russians? Take him to the brig and get Agent Dwayne from CIA on the horn now.
Dwayne's covered off. Dwayne speaking.
Agent Dwayne, your country needs you. A terrorist mouse has chewed up every single boat cover and piece of upholstery in the Navy.
I'll patch up what I can and replace what I can't.
Agent Dwayne, you're a great American.
Just doing my job.
Boat covers, seat upholstery, camper, deck, or patio awnings. When you need something covered or upholstered, call the CIA. Dwayne's Cover It All. Commercial accounts are welcome. Call or email Dwayne. Visit Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
It takes a lot to impress us at Jim Creshock Jewelers. I mean, we see gorgeous diamonds, gemstones, and incredible jewelry every day that we've chosen for our selection. But when a diamond jewelry line like this one comes along, well, our eyes really widen up and our mouths drop open and our hearts beat a little faster. Yours will too when you stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection of diamonds and diamond jewelry. Their slogan is bigger, brighter, whiter. And it's a difference you can see, which is the most important. Each Fire and Ice diamond is cut to maximize the performance of light coming into and leaving the diamonds to create amazing sparkle and brilliance. So whether you're planning on getting engaged or upsizing your current diamond, or just want something completely new with more sparkle and dazzle than you've ever seen before, stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection. It's exclusively available right here at Jim Creshock Jewelers at our one and only location on Rib Mountain Drive in Wausau.
Joe Rader Towing in Wausau offers 24-hour-a-day towing, lockout service, and roadside assistance throughout central Wisconsin. You can count on Joe Rader's experienced team to get to you fast. Family owned and operated. When you need a tow, call Joe at 715-212-4762.
The Intermission Bar, located in the heart of downtown Wausau, is a warm, friendly, comfortable spot to enjoy time with old friends and meet new ones as well. Free live music 3 nights a week featuring some of the Midwest's finest talent. The Intermission, a social establishment.
And welcome back. It is Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO on the Civic Media app and also on YouTube at youtube.com and our 98.9 WXCO channel. I am Chad Holmes along with Sully. We talked about the bowl games, and then, of course, there was the quarterfinals, and they started with one game on New Year's Eve,
right,
and then played 3 more games on New Year's Day. And I would say that the game on New Year's Eve was the one that was the one that shook the college football world a little bit more than the others, right?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I thought Miami came into that game and played with a lot of confidence and were extremely aggressive. I mean, they came after Ohio State with virtual no concern that they're the Buckeyes. I mean, and I thought they rocked Ohio State back defensively. They hurried Sand. You know, they sacked him a number of times, pressured him more. And I'll tell you, they looked like the real deal in that game and just kept the pressure on the Bucs the entire night. So there was nothing flukish about that win. They went out and they just took it to them.
Wasn't it similar to the Indiana game for Ohio State where, I mean, you're just shocked that they were held into the teens in points back-to-back games?
You know, I think a year ago probably didn't get enough conversation about how good Ohio State's running backs were. You know, with Henderson and was it Juergens or the kid that transferred from, might have been Ole Miss, Juergens. But anyway, he's had a good year. As my son Michael shares information about the NFL. But nonetheless, their backs were as good as anybody, if not the best in the country. This year, their running backs were not anywhere near what they were a year ago. And I thought their offensive line and the tackles got exposed by abandoning those edge rushers from Mississippi or from Miami. So maybe not as good as advertised, Chad, with the freshman quarterback. Although they certainly had their way in the Big Ten and didn't play the best Big Ten schedule either. So, there were some concerns coming in. Indiana kind of exposed them. And then I'll tell you, Miami just took it to them.
And also, I think something that people need to also just remember is that, yes, Miami barely got in. Miami was, seeded 10th. At the same time, at the start of the year, when you looked at that team, they were expected to be among the national championship contenders. They inexplicably lost a couple of games, really. I mean, so again, this is not a case where this team kind of came out of nowhere. In a sense, it's a team that was expected to be at this point. It just got there maybe in a different way.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Ted, and you and I have talked about this. This had a lot to do with the talking heads at ESPN getting everybody to focus on Notre Dame and Miami. Both Notre Dame and Miami, in my humble opinion, were better than Oklahoma and Alabama, and yet the SEC, they got their 5 teams, and we've talked about ESPN communicating to Greg Stanky, the SEC commissioner, about that was possible. They don't stand to tell the committee who to select, but the conversations being so dominated by ESPN that, you really did start to think, is it Miami or Notre Dame, when that was the wrong question. So I'm with you. This team is really good. And the reality here is they're showing it.
And I think it shows sometimes how important where your draw is. Last year, I think it was a case where Oregon got the short end of the stick because they had to play Ohio State, even though they're the number 1 team. All of a sudden, because of the way it was set up last season, they get to play a team that again was underseeded based on talent. And this year, I think Ohio State actually had it turned on them, that they got kind of faced a team that was underseeded based on talent.
And if you look at it, Chad, for the 8 games that have been played now, with the team with the bye coming in playing against a ranked team who had already played, I believe the ranked teams, the teams that got the bye, are 1-7. Only Indiana has 1. Ohio State lost this time. Texas Tech lost.
Yeah, we'll talk about those games. Let's go jump into those games that are heard on New Year's Day. You had, again, it was not what you call, I think, the most competitive games. I guess it wasn't, for the most part. Oregon, shutout Texas Tech 23-0. All that money that Texas Tech spent to get to this point did not show up. Defensively they did fine. They actually held Oregon down for much of the game, but if you can't score, you're not going to win.
Right. Yeah. And it's going to go back to how good is Texas Tech? Who have they beaten? Had they come out and played some quality Big Ten teams? The SEC teams? Not really. The best offense that they had played against was BYU's, and BYU is ranked high 30s, low 40s. So you can look at the schedule, and given the fact that you play 9 conference games, you really don't get a lot of opportunity to go and measure yourself unless you specifically look and say, hey, we're going to play a Big Ten team, and we're going to play an SEC team. I always look on the site, I always look for yellow, green, and light blue. And that suggests an FCS opponent, non-conference, a group of 5, and then a Power 5. And then, of course, which Power 5, because there's a lot of variance with
them. And again, Oregon this year as a number 5 seed had a much easier run than as a number 1 seed. Sometimes there's just a little bit of luck involved there as well, and they definitely took advantage of it this time around.
Yeah, and what I was alluding to before was that, look, next year, if they do get this right and get to 16, there'll be no buys. Nobody will be sitting for that extra week, and because you'll hit the floor running, and that everybody will play in week 1.
Indiana all over Alabama, 38-3. I mean, I suppose that the idea that the number 1 seed beats the number 9 seed is not a surprise, but again, to see Alabama just run off the field like that was, I think, a surprise. As much as Signetti and Indiana has done the last 2 years, for Indiana to just embarrass Alabama in a national quarterfinal game is still something that we have to get used to.
Yeah, Alabama could not run the ball against them. I think that their quarterback was their leading rusher. He had like 17 yards. So you thought Indiana would get him, but I don't think anybody thought it would be 38-3. And for Alabama to get dominated, the way that they did in that game was something that I think surprised everybody, including the guys who were calling the game.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, there was, I think, the one game on New Year's Day that kind of lived up to the hype. And Ole Miss, without Lane Kiffin, is now in a national semifinal after beating Georgia 39-34.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's a lot of surprises there. Kiffin, everywhere that guy has been, there are oddities. I don't know what the right term that would be one would use, but I mean, whether he was at Oakland, whether he was at Tennessee, he leaves them high and dry. SC gets fired on the tarmac. He walks out on Mississippi. Saban fired him the week of the national championship game. So in that alone, I'm kind of an Ole Miss fan. I want to see them continue to go. And the one thing I can tell you that I saw a little bit in Ohio State, you will not see in Ole Miss, and that is they will not back up in this game with Miami, and Miami with all the swagger and they got a little man lives behind their ear and pulls a cord and their mouth start going. It's not going to affect Ole Miss. They're going to come after them. This is going to be a very entertaining game.
What about Georgia? How disappointing is that for them?
Well, I was disappointed because I wanted Georgia to play against Carson Beck. I wanted to see that, the former quarterback with his former team. I thought Gunnar Stockton played great.
Mm-hmm.
He ran for 2. He threw for 1. Guy was all over doing everything he could do. Chambliss, Trinidad had the quarterback at Ole Miss had a great game, passed for over 300 yards, which really surprised me against that Georgia D. So a terrible, disappointing loss for Georgia. I think they thought that they had righted the ship and they were on their way back to get a shot at the national championship, probably against Ohio State, because I think the general wins, the prevailing wins were that Ohio State would beat Indiana this time. So a tough loss for Kirby. But I'll tell you, that was not a fluke. Ole Miss can play.
It's always an interesting weekend when both Alabama and Georgia lose.
Yeah.
We're not used to seeing that. Those are probably two of the, over the last decade. Usually when you get to the end, it's Alabama and or Georgia there. This year, not even to the semifinals.
No, and how about this, Chad? On our site, we look at 3 sites over 4 years, which you and I have talked about over the years. Georgia and Alabama are 1 and 2 in terms of the recruiting, the roster, the depth. And so you're talking about the 2 best recruiting programs in the country who typically act on that because, to your point, they're usually playing at this time. So both of them gone. I think it has a little bit to do with NIL and the fact that they can't stockpile depth anymore because that depth is getting bought away.
That's exactly right. Well, that is the quarterfinals. We'll talk about the semifinals a little bit later on in the program. But coming up next, we may be into the new year, but at least one more time to do a little trivia.
We got 2 great guests today, Kenny and Marcia from St. Vincent de Paul. And I'll tell you that they're gonna put the full court pressure on us with these questions, I'm sure.
All right, so we'll have that coming up next as we continue here on this Saturday morning. Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO.
I only travel once or twice a year, but when I do, I go big. Exotic places, incredible hotels, new experiences. It has to be memorable. That's why I call Travel Leaders of Wausau. They get me, and they take care of all the details, so I don't have to worry about a thing.
Travel Leaders gets you, and we get you there. Travel better. Call Travel Leaders of Wausau at 715-355-4437.
And can't forget the sandals and the right sunglasses.
Hello, my name is Steve Brickner. Here at Brickner Motors in Little Chicago, we'll help you order your brand new Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, or Jeep and get it equipped the way you want it and the color you've always dreamed of. That means you won't overpay for something you don't want. Quality vehicles and competitive prices are what keep people coming back again and again. Make the drive out to Brickner Motors on Little Chicago's northeast side and let our family take care of your family.
You can count on us. Yes, you can.
The Kuhn Hearing Center is a family-owned and operated hearing care facility located at 1699 Schofield Avenue, Suite 106 in Schofield. Dr. Tim Kuhn has been practicing audiology in the greater Wausau-Weston area for 26 years. Dr. Kuhn works closely with several audiology agencies, including Signia Hearing Aids and Accessories, which provides access to the latest and most advanced technologies in the hearing industry. For more info, check them out online at kuhnhearing.com or call 715-298-5511.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Experience a culinary journey at Oliva's at Gulliver's Landing. Indulge in our unique supper club atmosphere and savor mouth-watering steaks, seafood, pasta, and sandwiches. Join us for an unforgettable dining experience. Oliva's at Gulliver's Landing, Gadwall Lane in Wausau.
And welcome back. It is Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app and on YouTube at youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. And this time of year, we've had a lot of fun bringing in folks that are supporters of Sully's college football page, not only with the 10-game challenge, but now we don't have enough games for that.
Yeah,
but we still have enough
trivia
in order to continue. And so, who do we got this week?
Okay, well, it's my pleasure to introduce Marcia and Ken Tokars. They're here on behalf of St. Vincent de Paul, great organization in the community, and have been with the show in one way or one form or another for about 10 years. So always great to see you two with those smiling faces here. And two Notre Dame graduates here.
St. Mary's.
Well, yeah, across the woods.
You got it.
Yeah. So, hey, before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to our guests today, Ken and Marcia Tokars, for the volunteer work you do at St. Vincent's, along with other nonprofit charities, parishes, missions, volunteers, and schools who serve the Wausau area and beyond. Our sponsors identify and recommend that Sully's College football page provide financial support, and as a result of that recommendation, we are proud to say that we are able to donate to the following organizations: Hager House, the Women's Community, Bridge Street Mission, Newman Catholic Schools, Holy Name Parish, the Good News Project, Maine All Volunteer Fire Department, the Humane Society, Knock MS Out of the Park, St. Vincent de Paul Society, the Wausau Free Medical Clinic, the National MS Society, Children's Miracle Network, and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. So on behalf of the sponsors, Bull Falls Radio and Sully's College football page, we'd like to give you guys a big thank you for the great work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. You know, it's great to be mentioned among the names of all those great service organizations, and we're glad to represent the group. So yes, as St. Vincent de Paul, we've been with you from about 10 years or so. We've done this a few times, and we're very happy, especially this Christmas holiday, to try to get our message out, because Christmas is really about, you know, God becoming man and dwelling among us. And this is what St. Vincent de Paul tries to do in all our interactions with the people that we serve, primarily through the home visit process. We try to make those true encounters with Christ. It's not meant to be a subsidy or a handout or anything along these lines. It's meant to be, you know, people touching people and building relationships. You know, God works with everyone. God, they say, a famous person once said, our hearts were created for God, and they are restless until they rest in Him. So, you know, we try to bring that message throughout the whole year. And we do that in many ways. The biggest thing we do is the home visits, where we've grown tremendously. And we are now getting requests to the tune of 50 a month. So we meet twice a month. Each meeting, we take on 25 cases. Every one of those cases, two Vincentians go together and meet with people in their homes to try to do what we can to help them, you know, stay off the streets in many cases, provide beds for kids that are sleeping on the floor, paying rent, paying utilities, and we all know those bills are going up. So that's becoming harder and harder, but we keep plugging along. We also do some other things, but that's our main mission.
Very good.
All right.
So,
And we will add a little bit more a little bit later on as we discuss, you know, our trivia. We'll take a break and get some more information from both of you in just a few minutes. But so we started up.
yeah, you know, you want to read the first one? Or
Why not? I can read the first one. Of course, we always start with our guests because we're just so friendly.
And Marcia, you should probably speak first before you let Kenny say it.
She is a trivia expert. Tell them about
I do
it.
trivia at the Y.
Well, I gotta tell you, Saul, you put these together, and this first one, I'm almost embarrassed. It's so easy for us.
Well, hey, we're just setting the stage for what's to come.
All right. I'm going to give it to you, but believe me, I'm embarrassed to give it such an easy question.
Well, we'll be embarrassed if we get it wrong. Yeah.
He is setting you up, so be careful.
Number one, where was baby Jesus born? And not only that, we give it as a multiple choice question. I mean, gee whiz.
Don't give us the choices.
We can do it without.
Bethlehem.
Yes. All right. I'm glad we got past that one.
Well, it actually was better because the choices were Nazareth. And some people might think, then Jerusalem. So by not giving you,
that might have thrown us off.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. No more short stuff.
Okay, probably not.
Okay, speaking of locations, there's a country that eats a specific and atypical food for Christmas each year. In fact, the food is so popular that the people of this country put in orders months ahead of time. What's the country and what's the food?
Multiple choice.
This is a little harder than Bethlehem. You know, I was reading, we'll discuss here for a moment. I was reading the other day that in Japan, they all go to KFC.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Is that your answer?
No, not yet.
I got no idea, to be honest with you here. So do you have any idea?
No, none. So we'll go with Japan.
That's the answer.
Oh,
wow. Oh my God.
Wow.
Were you setting us up?
No. I just.
That is the answer.
In fact, I thought it was fairly humorous, you know, because I used to every Sunday.
Wow, that's
KFC.
impressive.
Wow, you got it.
Wow.
You want to give the second question?
Sure. All right. Now, what is Ralphie's little brother's name in the movie Christmas Story? Is it Rudy, that's kind of for you two. Randy or Rocky.
Randy.
It's Randy is the right
Boy,
answer.
and not even have to think about it. It's just,
Well, these guys, they know
I-
Danny. They know Danny Rudiger.
All right, so we're all perfect yet.
Okay. How many towns in America are named Christmas?
Huh?
Oh, wow.
Christmas.
I know there's an island called Christmas Island. What do you
There's
think?
got to be more than one. So I would say
there's 50 states.
Right.
So
I would
yeah,
say, listen,
half of them?
I don't think that. I would say 1 out of every 10. I would say 5.
5. Okay, 5.
You want to get pretty close. You guys are so logical. There's 2. Christmas, Michigan, and Christmas, Florida.
Oh, wow. I would have thought more.
Oh, yeah, I would have thought more too. All right, so we are now 1 behind, so we have some work to do here.
Yes, we.
All right, our third holiday trivia question for Marcia and Kenny. In the song Winter Wonderland, what do we call the snowman? Is it Reverend Leroy, Jack Frost, or Parson Brown?
Parson Brown?
You don't have to whisper. You know.
Yeah, you guys can discuss. That's okay.
Parson Brown is correct. So quickly here, man. Oh man.
Okay, so I'll give you a multiple.
Oh wait, we got to.
Oh yeah, see, we're in the middle because we always stop at 5 out of 10 just to kind of reset for folks who are tuned in. We are joined again by Marcia and Kenny Tokars, who are here to talk about St. Vincent de Paul and what it does here in the Wausau area. Anything else you would like to add about in terms of either one of you that would like to add about St. Vincent de Paul, maybe for folks who are not familiar with it as well?
Yeah, one thing I would say is a lot of people associate St. Vincent de Paul with the store. And the store is great. You know, it's in the old Rose Garden. It's wonderful operation. And that's who mostly funds the money that we give to the people we visit. But truly, the heart of St. Vincent de Paul is the home visit.
Yes, and it's good to note that all the donations, whether money spent in the store or given to us, all stays here in Wausau,
Marathon County.
area, Marathon County. Yeah.
Whereas some of the larger, maybe chain thrift stores have maybe a little higher overhead or the money goes elsewhere. Everything stays right here in Wausau with your own neighbors, probably. You wouldn't even know some of the people we visit. You might be surprised could be in your own neighborhood.
And we're always looking for volunteers in the store. Marcia and I both volunteer in the store, and it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you're pretty well known there because when I go in, all I have to say is Kenny or Marcia. Now, when they see me coming in, they say, "Oh, they're in the back."
Very good. So I guess now we can continue as we're halfway through. We have some work to do, Salt, as Marcia and Kenny are 3-0, and we are just 1-1. So it's our third question.
Well, I'll let you catch up then because we'll give you a choice here. Which reindeer is named after a weather phenomenon? Vixen, Donner, Comet, or Blitzen? A weather phenomenon.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, blizzard, blitzen. Is that what I'm thinking? Or comet? It's not really weather.
I know, yeah. So probably I would go with you. Go with your first gut.
All right, we're gonna say blitzen.
You're right. Blitzen means lightning.
Oh, very good. I would not have got that right. So it's a good thing Saul jumped right in. So
Oh yeah, I'm an intellectual when it comes to
And actually, Donner means thunder. So you have
Oh.
50% chance.
Lightning and thunder.
3-2. We got each of us has 2 more questions. So it's your turn to give.
Okay. What is the highest Christmas, the highest grossing Christmas movie of all time? Is it It's a Wonderful Life, The Grinch, or Home Alone 1?
Oh, we're going to get killed on this one.
Between the Grinch or the Home Alone.
There's too many Grinch movies.
But
What was the first choice?
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life's a great movie, but as far as box office and all of that, I don't know.
Home Alone, I think. Home Alone 1.
Pick.
Home Alone 1.
Home Alone 1 was the highest. Then Grinch surpassed it, so it's the Grinch.
The door is ajar. We got a chance. All right. So what's our fourth question? We can tie it up.
Okay, I'll give you multiple choice on this one. Which Christmas carol was the first song ever broadcast from space? Silent Night, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Jingle Bells, Deck the Halls.
Silent Night. I think I've heard something about that. My
Okay.
God.
I've heard that question, but I'm a blank.
I thought so too, but in 1965 it was Jingle Bells.
Oh,
Jingle Bells. I do know
Maybe
this.
since then, Silent Night.
Jingle Bells was initially written as a Thanksgiving song.
Oh, didn't know that.
I did not know that either. I'm not sure why, but
Oh, we're still one behind.
Yeah,
We're down
we
to our
are.
fifth and final question for each of us. So, fifth and final question. In Miracle on 34th Street, the 1947 movie, who played the lawyer Fred Gailey? Was it A, Jimmy Stewart, B, Fred Astaire, or C, John Payne?
You go with that.
Payne.
Good thing you went with the right one.
Payne is right.
John
You know, and
Payne.
I put that Jimmy Stewart there to get you going. You know, that he wasn't in that movie. He was in It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah.
That was a good one.
All right, we get one more just for pride.
Is that 5 for us?
That's 5 for you. You guys.
We'll give
We
you
have
one for-
we have a bonus question. Go ahead.
Oh,
What beverage? This isn't.
No,
a
no.
bon- What bev? Oh, you want to do the bonus? Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have
We're
asked
done.
us one. Mark.
Yep, that's our fifth.
Oh well,
We're
we have
done.
a tiebreaker or a bonus question here.
He made this.
Speaking as we're both Notre Dame guys. What did the college football selection committee get for Christmas?
Coal.
Yes.
boy.
That's Notre Dame fans have been a little sour grapes.
I was gonna go with deported, but
Well, congratulations! You beat us. I think we won the last couple of weeks, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought the rule was though multiple choice questions.
Oh, we're
I could have done that.
we're all good. No, no,
we're good. We're good.
We're all good. Any final thoughts? Any final pieces of information? Anything else you'd like to add before we finish? Because I mean, again, what you do, number one, the work that you do in the community is big. Number two, making sure this guy's got a website and radio show is also great charity as well.
Well, we can't announce this officially yet, but we do have land in Weston. We have a generous donor help us purchase a good piece of land right off of Schofield Avenue, just south of the new Aldi down there.
Oh.
And we're working on a feasibility study right now to see if we can open a second store.
Oh, great.
Yeah, the good work that our president, Bob Steffen, and our general manager, Keith Endy, they've been going around town. They've been talking to a lot of people. They've been talking at a lot of the Catholic parishes in town. Consequently, our donations have really been coming in strong. We can hardly keep them in our facility. We're having to rent trailers to put the stuff in. And so we're looking to open up another store. I think the people in Weston would be happy to hear that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and Keith, it's always good to see his smiling face when I go into the store. That's
Actually,
great
both those
work.
guys are Chicago guys.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that. Bob Steffen, the former basketball player.
His kids played ball at Newman. He had 5 sons. They all played
Oh,
ball
sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Marsha and Kenny, thanks again for playing the game with us, and thanks again for everything you do with Sully and his college football page.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank
You
you.
guys,
Yeah,
you guys are
really
great.
appreciate all of that. And I want you to know that Chad and I are going to start to study for next year
There
when
you
we
go.
get you
There
on.
you
So
go.
we'll
God
do a
bless you
little bit.
very much.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
so much, guys.
And I'm gonna make a question or two because you're just too easy for people. We knew they were gonna be very, very smart.
Yeah, well, if you would have read it as written, maybe Nazareth
all
would.
right. We got to take a timeout. We're gonna come back. More to come here on Sully's College Football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Thinking about changing to organic or natural foods? Then you need to stop at Red Clover Market at the Total Rental location in Weston. Family-owned Red Clover Market, your healthy natural food store. Open Monday through Saturday. Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258.
For more than 60 years, Sun Printing has been Central Wisconsin's commercial printer of choice due to their commitment to quality, creative solutions, and dedicated service. Sun Printing's team offers you a wide spectrum of services. Whether you need offset, digital, large format, graphic design, or mailing, they print everything under the sun. No project is too big or too small. So give Sun Printing a call at 845-4911 or visit them online at sunprinting.com.
Since 1981, Lopnose has been Wausau's favorite sports bar. Grab a bit of Wausau's past while you're watching your favorite sports teams at their historic turn-of-the-century establishment. Lopnose is the perfect place to catch all the sports action on their 15 enormous flat-screen TVs, enjoy a night on the town with friends, or have a celebration in their private party room. A great place for birthdays, anniversaries, clubs, or meetings. Lopnose, Wausau's oldest and finest sports bar, 3rd Street, Wausau.
For over 40 years, Champion Insurance has been helping business owners protect themselves. They also offer protection for your home, auto, and other personal assets as well. Local family owned and operated. Champion Insurance. They got you covered. Schofield Avenue, Schofield.
Come on down to Cheeks Bar and Grill on East Wausau Avenue in Wausau. Open for dine-in or takeout Tuesday through Friday, 2 p.m. till close. Saturday, 12 p.m. till close. Sunday, 12 until 8 p.m. Check them out on Facebook, and we hope to see you at Cheeks Bar and Grill in Wausau.
It is Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO. Along with Sully, again, I am Chad Holmes. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yes. You know, Kenny and Marcia, I've known them for years. Really two high-quality people. And, you know, you see them over at the store. You know, I'll see them in there when we're, you know, trying to get things organized for the show. And I'll tell you, they are exactly what St. Vincent de Paul is looking for, you know, community involvement and quality people to represent. So all good.
Well, let's talk about the Big Ten again in terms of how they are doing. We talked last week about how they started well with Northwestern beating Central Michigan and then Minnesota edging New Mexico. And as we've continued, for the most part, it's been pretty good. It's been a mixture, I guess. And the thing I find kind of interesting are some of the traditional blue bloods of the Big Ten Conference are the ones that are losing. You got Nebraska losing, you got Michigan losing, you got USC losing. But let's go down the line and talk a little bit. We mentioned earlier, you said it, Penn State and Clemson. Penn State, you have to get, I mean, we've talked about this in the past, credit because they had their national championship hopes dashed early. Then they lost their coach, and they were, you know, winless in the Big Ten Conference until literally they had to win out to get a bowl, and they did so. And then they beat again a good Clemson team in the Pinstripe Bowl. A real good finish for Penn State. I thought something that says a lot for the kids in that program.
Yeah, well said. You know, look, it's easy to cash them in. You know, when things go that poorly, and your expectations are at the other end of the spectrum from what you're experiencing. They didn't. They kind of rallied around the circumstance they were in and said, hey, let's make the best of this. They were 3-6, and then they won 4 in a row. So you got to say that they found a way.
Illinois beats Tennessee down in Tennessee at the Music City Bowl, 30-28, and Illinois 9-4. And I know there's been some people that have talked about how, well, this was supposed to be the year for Illinois. This was the year they were going to, you know, not just have a 9-4 record like they did, but they were going to be competing near the top. Doggone it. I mean, think about where this program was before Bielema came, and now they're talking about disappointments at 9-4. I mean, that's truly a turnaround of expectations, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I watched that game. That was a really, really enjoyable game to watch. Back and forth. Nobody was really blinking. Both teams were after it. Luke Altmaier was the difference in that game. I didn't realize he's a Mississippi kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was at Mississippi State for a while. Things didn't work out there. Bielema from his Arkansas days kind of was aware of him. And so I'll tell you, he has really developed. And, the interesting thing in that game, Tennessee was looking at him before they took Joey Aguilar. They were, and Aguilar worked out for him. But I got to tell you, I think Altmaier is the better player.
Iowa finishes off again, I think, similar to Illinois, a really good season. I mean, 9-4 doesn't blow you away, but we've talked about the fact that every one of those losses they could have won. And there was literally within inches of being in the playoff and inches of being a team that has been talked about as a big surprise this year. And you go back to Kirk Ferentz, and we've talked over the last number of years. There was always the controversy with his kid and the offense, and everything else. But at the same time, he just keeps winning, and it's not an automatic to win at Iowa. Before Hayden Fry, that was not a program that was considered among the elite in the Big Ten. But what Ferentz does year in and year out is something that I think is underappreciated, because there's always a little rumble about, do it a little more exciting, get a little more offense, but they have great defense. You've been, I think, one of the great cheerleaders for Parker, the defensive coordinator. But I mean, it's just a really terrific program, and that it's not lost its way like Nebraska and Wisconsin have in recent years.
Yeah, I thought that, you hear a lot of talk about the Big Ten is as good as the SEC on the top, but not when you get, 4, 5, 6 teams down. Well, here we were with Iowa and Illinois, who are certainly not at the top of the league, but kind of in the middle part, playing against 2 teams from the SEC that are in similar circumstance, maybe Vandy more towards the top this year. And they just went out and took care of business. And how about the way they won the game, Chad? 34 points. That's typically what Iowa scores in 2 games.
Yeah.
And, with all of the saber rattling with his mouth and that Pavier has done of late, I got to tell you, I was really hoping Iowa would get it done, but I did not think they were going to win this game needing to score 34 points, and they did. But that Tennessee, Illinois, and then the Vandy, Iowa game were 2 of the best games in the postseason this year.
Michigan fell to Texas 41-27, and the way I look at that game more than anything else is it officially ends the Jim Harbaugh era. I think that's the way I look at it, that it's been an amazing roller coaster ride for Michigan over the past decade. There was moments where they were talking about Harbaugh being a complete failure and looking to get rid of him. Then he turns it around, wins a national championship, hands the reign over to his offensive coordinator. We know what happened. In the end, my question is it worth sullying the reputation of what was a great football program in order to win 1 national championship?
No, it's not. It's, the question when one, ask it, because you should ask it, but then when you look back at even the asking of it, the answer is no. Look, at Michigan is a member of the AAU, which is the Association of American Universities. It is one of the most respected universities in the United States. The research they do is cutting edge. So this is a great institution. You've got a guy with Groucho Marx glasses on, hiding on the Central Michigan sideline, stealing signs. You had more running around involved in all this sexual harassment. Then you had another guy who was stealing photos from co-eds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, when does this end? And I think your point, it ends with Kyle Whittingham. Well, he's an outstanding coach. But I would say to you, he's a better citizen. You're not going to see any of this nonsense with him and his staff. They're going to come out and they're going to make it about football. They're going to make it about what Bo had at hard-nosed, in-your-face, kind of knock you loose football. Not all this nonsense that, Harbaugh kind of got himself involved in. And then the cover-up, the lying about it just made it worse. So, for one, I'm glad Michigan has cleared this, and now hopefully they can win some games and get back to being Michigan.
Win it the right way.
Yes.
And a program like Michigan should be able to win it the right way.
There's no doubt, but they can do that.
And I think with the new regime, I do think they're going to be very dangerous.
Yeah, he's a hard-nosed guy and a good citizen, which is what they need.
Las Vegas Bowl, Utah 44, Nebraska 22. Nebraska, let's get to the nub here, because again, I think they underachieve another year. They got to a Midland Bowl game, but this is a program I don't know. I don't. Do you think? Again, you've been a fan of Matt Rule.
Oh yeah.
Is he going to get this program back into a position of playing in the big games, playing in the playoff, or at the very least being better than Iowa and Illinois? I mean, they right now are just in the middle of the pack of an 18-team conference. It is not what Nebraska and that rabid fan base wants, and they kind of petered out coming down the stretch, and now they lose the guy that they kind of put their hopes on at the quarterback position. They have to find a new quarterback. What's your take? I mean, because that was not exactly a great way, because I would have thought maybe Utah would have been in a position where, with everything that was going on, they thought that Whittingham was going to be the coach for that game until the week before when he left for Michigan, and yet they came out there and just whooped Nebraska.
Yeah, they doubled them up. The game started out, Matty Rule was the OC for this game because of their OC had took a job. And they came out. It looked like it was 14-7, 7-0, then tied, then 14-7. And then Utah just kept playing. I mean, Utah was 10-2. They are better than Nebraska, have a better roster. And I think, given what Whittingham brings to the table, probably better coached. Even though Whittingham is not there, the system stayed in place. So I don't know what's going to happen with Matty Rule and how well he's going to be able to recruit, and he's not anywhere but in the Big Ten now. And, week in and week out, Chad, what you're going to see there. You're going to see some very physical teams that are going to challenge your depth because of the physical nature of the way that conference plays. So we'll see what happens. They're going to have to continue to recruit, and they're going to need depth going forward.
All right, that's the Big Ten, but there's a lot of other conferences that are keeping a track of how they're doing during bowl season. We're going to do that. We're going to see how the other conferences are faring up to this point as we continue here in hour number 2 of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Buck Welsh has been working in the golf business since 1976, became a PGA member in 1984, and has been teaching for over 40 years. His philosophy has always been to work with the individual golfer, building on the way they do things and making them better with what they have to work with. Call Buck at 715-581-2646 or check out the website www.bucksgolfshop.com to get more info about lessons.
Eye Clinic of Wisconsin believes that clear vision and hearing are priceless. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin is equipped to handle all your eye and hearing care needs. When you need specialty and surgical eye care, why not work with the best? Let the team of professionals at Eye Clinic of Wisconsin see you. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin has 7 convenient locations that include Wausau, Antigo, Medford, Merrill, Rhinelander, Stevens Point, and Wisconsin Rapids. Visit their Facebook page or website at www.eyeclinicwi.com. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, one vision, yours.
As a proud member of the Wausau, Marathon, Edgar, and Athens communities, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home has built a reputation for having a deep commitment to personal service. When you need compassionate concern and expert guidance day or night, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home is the one to call. You can trust them to take care of every detail at a time it matters most. Located in Wausau, Marathon, Edgar, and Athens, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, friends you've trusted and depended on since 1914. Krasowski Dental offers the most effective cosmetic and neuromuscular dentistry procedures and treatments. When you walk through the doors, you'll experience an incredibly comfortable and pleasant atmosphere where you'll be treated like family. Krasowski Dental offers 24-hour emergency service and care so you don't have to wait, and offers many of the newest dental technologies and perks to make your dental experience comfortable and less stressful. Schedule your appointment now with Krasowski Dental, North 17th Avenue, Wausau.
Don't you just love a good football game? Don't you just love a new car or a new truck or a new motorcycle? And don't you just love saving money? Then you'll love Clover Belt Credit Union, your go-to team for saving money with a great rate vehicle loan. Great rates are what make Clover Belt the leader in vehicle loans. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, ATVs. If it's got a motor and it rolls on wheels, Clover Belt Credit Union has the great rate financing you want. Give us a call and we'll get your great rate loan rolling. Clover Belt Credit Union, your team for great rates.
The Dirks Group started in 1999 as an alternative to traditional IT service providers. From the start, they focused on customized solutions for the needs of each client. Today, they serve over 400 customers from locations in Wausau and Eau Claire. Go to dirksgroup.com for more information.
Charity's Bar in Marathon City. Great food, great service, a great place to meet friends. Come on down and watch the game or just hang out. It's Charity's Bar on County Road and in Marathon City.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit NewmanCatholicSchools.com to learn more.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.
Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app and at YouTube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes, and as bowl season continues, conferences try to be on the top of the mountain when it comes to wins in the bowl games. And as we look at it, what's jumped out? Is there anything in particular that's jumped out, either in the positive or the negative way with some of these conferences?
Well, the Big Ten led the way at 9-4, so that's always good to see. One conference that I was happy for was the ACC, because they certainly have had their share of critics this year, and they in the bowl season went 8-4, so that was good. Another team that quietly went about its business and did pretty well was the Conference USA. They were 4-3, and they are generally considered to be the weakest of all of the 9 conferences. So for them to go out and get that done, that was impressive. The other thing I'd be remiss if I did not mention, the Big Ten had several wins this year against Group of 5 opponents. You know, so there is that. So while something can be true with a little more in-depth look, it may be not as accurate as the 9-4 says it is.
But all that said, for the SEC, the greatest football conference in the history of the world, going 4-9, what's happening there?
Yeah, well, you know, I think that
we're supposed to be bowing to the SEC.
Well, the NIL has changed things for them, you know, because there was always the sublineal, the idea that players down there were being paid. There was, you know, a wink and a nod, and things were just a little different in the Southeast Conference. And then along comes NIL, and now teams are actually plucking those backups, that second string, because, it used to be Saban could say, hey, Clyde, another 5-star, get in there for Louis. And so those days are gone, Chad. Now, they don't like to hear this, but the reality now is coming down to coaching. How good is your staff top to bottom? And I think they're finding out that staffs everywhere are pretty good. And, for instance, when you look at the Big Ten and the coaches that are in that league, I mean, they're as good or better than anybody.
Speaking of the ACC, the All Coast Conference,
yeah.
There were 2 games last night that I think were of interest, but especially for that conference, because you talk about their 8-4. The reason is because they won these 2 games last night, were actually pretty good matchups, beating an SEC team. Wake Forest defeated Mississippi State 43-29. Though Mississippi State becomes one of those rare teams ever to finish 5-8, because they were 5-7. They got in because they needed some teams, which is good for them. And then SMU beat Arizona, which was, I thought, Arizona was in the top 20, I believe, in the rankings. And SMU won that game 24-19. So those are 2 of the programs where, for that conference to be, I mean, you look at that conference up and down, it's just pretty strong. It has a depth to it, doesn't it?
The ACC?
Yes.
I think so. It gets a lot of criticism. You and I have talked about when they were still playing in conferences. The Coastal, they had 7 teams. They had a different champion for 7 straight years. So one of their teams won it. So while they may not have been, other than, say, a Clemson, a Florida State, they had their moments, they were very balanced and good. And yet they got the criticism nationally because other than Clemson, there was really nobody emerging. And then Notre Dame added to that because Notre Dame was kind of subliminally crying about, we're stuck playing these guys when we could be scheduling some Big Ten or SEC teams. So, yeah, I think the criticism has been unfair. And when you look at them, there's some pretty decent football played in that league, especially, Chad, athletically. They've always had good athletes just scattered around the league.
And one thing to keep an eye on, I think, next year is Florida State. Will they come back? Because I think in that conference, we can talk about depth, but they need the superstar team, and that would be Florida State to join Miami, bring back that old rivalry. And then I think all of a sudden, maybe those complaints about that conference from people like Notre Dame may go away a little bit.
Well, think about it like this. What would happen to the Big Ten if Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State started playing the way Miami, Florida State, and now Clemson have been playing? It would not be good. So their blue bloods kind of went away, and it really affected the national image of the league. So if one of those teams steps up, or 2 of them, Miami clearly is, if Florida State gets good again, some of those games you and I remember, they were like the game you waited for, that Florida State Miami game, or Florida State, or Miami. Florida didn't play Miami as much because they said, hey, we're in the SEC. We're not going to go play those dopes too. So the reality here is if those teams step up, then the league's image is much different.
And any other conferences you want to kind of highlight in this segment before we move forward?
Yeah, I was a little surprised by the Sun Belt. 2-4. I thought they, when you talk about that league, most people would say in the group of 5, and now they're sometimes saying the group of 6, because next year the Pac-12 will have, right now I think they have 8 teams. Northern Illinois is going into the league. And so they're not going to be viewed as a Power 5. It'll stay at Power 4. So the Sun Belt is often talked as the second best conference in the group of 5, behind the American. So I thought they'd do a little better. in terms of their bowl season, because they do play against other Power 5 conferences. But so that was a little bit of a surprise. The SEC going 9-4, because I guess I'm still caught in the past. that was more than a shock. The MAC 2-3, that's kind of about what you expected. They played some good teams, and Toledo had a great game against Louisville, 27-22. I mean, they were right there with them. And, like I've always said, they can run. Ohio, beat UNLV. Miami of Ohio scored first in that game against Fresno and then got shut out the rest of the game and got beat 18-3. So, it's a Midwestern conference. I always kind of keep an eye on them, see how they're doing. But I would say that the two biggest surprises were Conference USA having a winning record, and then the SC going 4-9 was shocking.
All right, so there you have it in terms of where these conferences stand in bowl season. Coming up, we're going to get back to the college football playoff. We'll preview the games that are coming up in the semifinals, but also take a look at the road to get there in the football playoff, and maybe some thoughts on this 12-team playoff and how it's moving forward, and any trends that we're seeing so far in the run to the semifinals. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Where did the good old days go? From going to the old A&W drive-in to cruising the strip in town, all things change. Some things stay consistent. For almost 75 years, Redant Insurance in Rib Mountain has been providing quality service to its customers. One of the oldest agencies in the area. Your family and neighbors come here. Now it's your turn. Call 715-845-9204. Click redantinsurance.com or stop by 227501 Rib Mountain Drive. Redant Insurance Agency, our family helping yours.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston. You don't have to choose between personal, hometown service, and the latest banking technology. Brokaw Credit Union has it all. Whether you're looking to finance your first home, grow your savings, or get a new set of wheels, we're here to help. Check us out at brokawcu.com. It's hard to find great Italian food in Wausau unless you're familiar with Carmelo's Italian Restaurant. Established in 1986 by the Oliva family, 3 generations still strive to provide a family atmosphere and fine dining experience. Carmelo's is proud to serve authentic Italian made with fresh ingredients. Their recipes have been handed down from generation to generation. Reservations are recommended Tuesdays through Sundays, and they are closed on Mondays. Carmelo's Italian Restaurant, located at the base of Granite Peak on North Mountain Road, Wausau. Check them out at carmelositalian.com.
Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Along with Sully, I'm Chad Holmes. Well, we are now through 2 rounds of the college football playoff. That means there's 2 rounds left. Not as many games, but still 2 more rounds, semifinals and the championship round. And trends and what we've seen here so far. You've seen lower seeds winning. You've seen a number of blowouts, I would say, a pretty high percentage of blowouts up to this point. What jumps out in the first 2 rounds of the college football playoff?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is Texas A&M, because, Chad, for a while I talked very suspiciously of them because in their own conference, they didn't play Georgia, they didn't play Alabama, they didn't play Ole Miss, they didn't play Oklahoma, and they didn't play Vandy. So I'm thinking who did they play? But then you realize it's a 16-team league. And so I thought they kind of had a very favorable schedule. And then you see them in the Miami game, and they can only score 3 points against a good defense. We may be experiencing two different realities here. One, how good Miami really is, and two, that A&M is still a lot better than we're giving them credit for based on the schedule. So that's the first thing. That 10-3 game, and you look at what Miami did to Ohio State, and you're saying, how really, man, maybe the A&M is better than we've given them credit for. And Miami being really one of the best teams in the country.
Does defense win championships? Because when you look at it, Miami's getting there because of defense. Do you think that we generally we are not seeing? Again, this is just not scientific at this point, but it feels like we are getting more lower scoring games, both within the playoff and also some of the significant bowl games. That there has been a revitalization of defense in college football the last couple of years.
And I think the defense has caught up. With the spreads, the defense got caught up in the traditional of we're going to play a 43, we're going to play a 34, but we're playing 3 or 4 linebackers. Now, Chad, they're playing cover 5. They're bringing in an extra D-back, and they seem to be able, with those kids, to play better in space. The other thing, Chad, that you don't hear a lot of people talking about, but is a reality, is the size of the defensive backs. They used to talk about your ability to turn your hips. You need to be lower to the ground, 5'8", 5'9" guys. Now, those kids back there are 6'2", 6'1", and sometimes you're seeing safeties at 6'4", 6'5". So when they give help over the top, it's not a 5'9" guy battling, a 6'4" guy. It's a 6'3" guy going up, who's got things in front of him. So I think that the athleticism and how the strategy has changed to deal with the spread has helped what you're saying about.
Absolutely. And I would ask you about, again, something that frustrates me is that the idea that people point at, see, Tulane had nothing for
right.
Ole Miss, or James Madison had nothing for Oregon. I am so tired of this idea that only the big schools should be involved. That's the whole reason for expanding the playoff, is so they get more of those big schools in as well. We see blowouts. There have been blowouts both last year and this year. It's not just and these first round games also, you have to put into the hopper the idea that these teams are always going to be going on the road. They're never going to get a home game or even a neutral site game. That is a factor as well. So stop with the pointing, they shouldn't be in. No, I still think they should be in.
Well, there is a proven model for a college football playoff right in their faces with the FCS. And they have kind of wrestled with the same thing you're talking about. And so what they've done is if you win your conference, and they have 13 conferences, we know that 2 of them, the MEAC and the SWAC, have opted out. The Ivy League for the first time got in this year. So they take those 11 conference champions and put them in, and then they take the 13 at large and go to work. Now, I don't know that 24 is the right number. I do know that if you are at the FBS level and you are supporting 105 scholarships, the equivalent thereof, what's the big deal about that? That way it shuts everybody up. You still, we have 9 conferences in the FBS. So if you did that, that would leave what? Now, my Catholic school math made 15 teams, that you could bring in at large. And the last thing I'm going to say about it, you're still going to have arguments.
Of course.
You're still going to.
There's always going to be that. I mean, even now, we're a couple of months away for when they release the bids for the basketball tournament.
Sure.
It always comes down at the end is this big school from the Big Ten or the SEC or the Big 12 that finished in 10th place more worthy of getting those final berths than a team that went 26-3 but lost in their conference tournament. I mean, so you're exactly right that those conversations and those arguments are going to continue. But the idea, again, I will always say the team that went 26-3 in the basketball tournament, because that other team had the opportunity all through the year.
Yeah.
They finished 10th. They got the chance. If they would have, they are all they have to do is be a little bit over 500 in their conference. They're going to get in. And I don't want it to be like that in football. I just think that we don't need to see the 5th and 6th place teams in the SEC in the playoff. They get their chance. If you can't be better than 5th or 6th in the conference, why should you be considered potential national champions?
And if you remember in the basketball, the WAC and Mountain West for a couple of years were together. It was like a 16, 17 team league, and then they broke apart. Well, the Mountain West immediately wanted an automatic bid for their conference champion. And that's how it expanded to 68, because the Big East in particular led the way, raising Cain about we're losing one of our at-large teams. And then so suddenly they created more of a venue. Look, I don't know what the right answer is. But, given a conference, an opportunity to play in, what is the problem with that? And there are blowouts in the NFL.
And we've seen that just because you're from a major conference doesn't mean you're going to get blown out. I mean, last year, Tennessee got blown out against Ohio State on the road in the first round. I mean, we see Alabama this year getting blown out in their game in the quarterfinals, which, and you were talking earlier, I think maybe even off the air, is again about when you look at Oklahoma and Alabama, did they really prove they should have been in? Probably not.
No, and
I mean, so again, these teams that we saw, they had flaws in the regular season. That's the thing about it, is we saw there were reasons to think, well, maybe they weren't among the best 12 teams out there, or whatever, the best 10 teams, because you have those two that would not be considered among the best 12.
Chad, I've always said it's not how you play when you get in. It's how you played during the regular season, and did you earn your way in? And I would say there is now so much money involved in this. ESPN is kind of the godfather,
the
of
ringmaster.
Yes, that's better said. And they're giving the SEC $811 million. They're giving the ACC $700 million. And so they never stood at the doorway of the committee's meetings. But nonetheless, their talking heads turn the conversation constantly to Notre Dame and Miami. While you weren't talking about Oklahoma, how good actually were they? You weren't talking about Alabama. And so here we ended up with something that wasn't the fix, wasn't in.
Why was Alabama such an obvious choice? I mean, when you really do look at it, they lost 3 football games. They lost badly in their final game. They got lucky to beat South Carolina. I mean, they had other games where they lost to, I mean, you talk about bad loss. Florida State was a bad loss. I mean, it's like, so you're right. I mean, but yet they're Alabama. And I mean, I think even to last, this past week's game, there was always that assumption. Well, they're Alabama.
Yeah,
they're Indiana. They're going to beat Indiana. No, they were not in the same class. And you're exactly right that, and the fact that Miami won these 2 games does not mean that they prove they should have been in. They either should be in or they shouldn't be in. I mean, you're exactly right that ultimately the results does not automatically, that shows they shouldn't be in. No, I mean, they could play well, they could not play well. I mean, that's not the point of the whole conversation. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, did you play your way in during the regular season? And I would say to you, there were things that were beyond suspicious about what happened at the end there when Alabama has a lackluster performance against Auburn in the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
And then they go play Georgia and get just smoked. People are saying Indiana Well, Georgia did that to Alabama too. They buried them. And so you step back and you say, okay, well, how did Alabama in a lackluster performance against Auburn when Notre Dame played Stanford, who wasn't very good, but nonetheless were beating them 42-3 at the beginning of the third quarter and subbed. And then, people are saying, well, they Stanford played, and then they moved Alabama in front. And then the first time in the history of the committee, Ted, you lose a game, in the one of the conference championship games, and you don't drop at least one spot.
Right.
That has never happened before. So there's just something funny here in Denmark or whatever that saying is.
We need to take a time out. Then we're going to come back and talk about the semifinals again.
There you go.
Who would have thunk it? We got a Big Ten matchup, and then you have a Southern matchup between the ACC and the SEC. So again, teams that it's going to be an interesting national champion no matter what. So it's very interesting stuff. So we'll take a time out, come back, talk about the Oregon-Indiana game coming up next here on 98.9 WXCO.
The Mint Cafe, serving old-fashioned American comfort food in a cozy atmosphere. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, your choice is the Mint Cafe. Call ahead for carryouts, deliveries to downtown Wausau, and catering is also available. Check them out at mintcafewausau.com.
Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258. Are you looking to furnish a new home, apartment, or cabin? Are you looking for quality clothing at a reasonable price? Well, if you are, be sure to stop at St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau. Make them your first stop, your one-stop shop for furniture, clothing, accessories, home products, and much more. And remember, St. Vincent de Paul in Wausau is more than just a thrift store. It's a local ministry meeting the needs of our community. Your purchases benefit those in need right here at home. So shop St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau, where your purchases benefit your neighbors.
Since 1997, Mountain Bay Auto Care has been serving Central Wisconsin with top quality and affordable car repair and service. With ASC certified mechanics, stop by 5702 Stella Avenue in Schofield or call 715-355-8646.
The warmth of your home is about making memories with family and friends and enjoying life celebrations. At Menzner Hardwoods Marathon, they understand the importance of bringing warmth to a place you call home. For over a century, their fifth-generation family business has been creating beautiful woodwork for the home and office, just as they have for over 130 years. Menzner Hardwoods looks forward to providing you with elegant wood products to enhance the beauty of your home or office. Visit them at menznerhardwoods.com. Menzner Hardwoods, timeless beauty for your home or office.
The Eat Fresh Refresh doesn't stop at your local Wausau Subways. When the urge hits, make sure to stop by any of the 4 Wausau Subway locations at 1609 Merrill Avenue, 330 East Bridge Street, 1819 West Stewart Avenue, and 4300 Rib Mountain Drive in Walmart. Catering, remote ordering, curbside pickup, and Subway delivery all available. And make sure to use the Subway app when you need Subway. Subway with 4 Wausau locations.
Buck's Golf Shop for all of your golfing needs. Located at 903 Grand Avenue, Suite C8, Rothschild, Wisconsin, 54474 in the Bushka & Bushka Insurance Building on the east side. Specializing in Badger, Bucks, Brewer, and Packer golf-related items. Green Tag sale is 30% off the retail price. Call 715-581-2646 or email wellsgolf@pcpros.net.
At People's State Bank, we think checking accounts are like SUVs. That's why we offer more features to fuel your lifestyle. The best part? You can open an account without leaving your driveway. Just visit bankpeoples.com today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. With Dan Sullivan, I'm Chad Holmes. It is a winter-like day. The snow is falling here in downtown Wausau at our studios at the corner of Washington Street and North 3rd Street. So, be a perfect day for some football.
I'll tell you, you sit here and we've been here for, all or part of 6 months, and the weather, you look out and it's sunny, in the summer, 70, 80 degrees. And then you get into Wisconsin Falls, which I think are the best in any state that I've been in. And then, of course, now starts the winter. And I've been saying for years, I'm doing it this year. I'm going to go up to Rib Mountain. I'm going to get Mike O'Leavin and a couple of the boys from Kermes and go up there and watch the guys ski. I haven't done that.
I thought you were going to get on a snowboard and just go down the hill.
No, I on my weight or at my weight, I wouldn't stop till I got to Merrill.
Well, let's talk about the national semifinals, as we have 4 teams remaining going for the national championship. Oregon and Indiana will be playing on Friday night at the Peach Bowl. They'll be playing in Atlanta. It is a rematch, of course, of the game earlier this season, played in Eugene in Oregon, and Indiana went on and won that one 30-20. That was actually the 2-game sequence of the year that Indiana was probably challenged the most. They had played previous to that game, the Iowa game, and they won 20-15, and then they won 30-20. The thing that jumped out about those 2 games was that Indiana had done it differently, because for the first year plus under Kurt Signetti, that they had won with this incredible overpowering offense, putting up a lot of points. But those 2 games, they were able to win it by holding down their opponents, and especially Oregon. Going into that game, I think Oregon was the team expected to win it, being at home. But the second meeting is always that little bit of an odd sequence, because we saw it already with Alabama losing at home to Oklahoma during the regular season, and then going into Norman and winning during the playoffs. So again, yes, they may have won the first meeting, but how much do you take from that for this upcoming matchup on Friday?
Well, I think there's a maximum that is pretty predominant, and I think also accurate. In college football, you got to stop the run and be able to run the ball. And if you look at these games, Indiana, like in that first game against Oregon, ran for 111 yards. So Oregon did a decent job. We always say 150. You want to hit that 150-yard mark running the ball, and then somewhere above that 200 mark throwing it. Oregon in that game was only able to run for 81 yards. And so, if you can't run the ball, it makes things very, very difficult. So be interesting to see at the start of this game what Lanning does to try to establish the run and see if they can get that going.
Along that same line is that when you don't run the ball, that leaves you in more long-yarded situations, and in order to move the sticks, it's more difficult. And they were only 3 of 14 on third downs, and frankly, if Oregon is anything close to that percentage again on Friday, they're gonna have a hard time winning the football game.
They are, and if you can't stay on the field, if you can't keep your offense, and those third down, the money down, where you are keeping your on the field, you're asking for trouble, because the contrary to that is now they get the ball back, and they keep the lather, they keep the sweat flowing, and so they're not sitting on the bench while you're marching, which is the Wisconsin motto in the old days. We just roar at you, you sit, we play. So this game, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is Oregon's ability to run the ball.
And also, just generally, we always thought of Oregon, going back to the Chip Kelly days, of just being able to just move that ball all over the place. To win a national quarterfinal game by shutting out your opponent, this is not your old-fashioned Oregon team generally, is it?
No, and Chip Kelly, People talk about him. And by the way, he is now the OC at Northwestern.
Who would have thought that Chip Kelly would ever end up at Northwestern?
Yeah,
as OC?
given
I'm curious to see how that works out, because one thing real fast before we talk about one thing I saw that I think very interesting is somebody wrote that when Chip Kelly has been at his best, he always had the best players, and which is, it sounds simple, but it's very true. At Northwestern, most of the time you're not going to go in with a physical advantage over your opponents in the Big Ten Conference. We're going to see really how well Chip Kelly can maneuver an offense if he's going to be able to score a lot of points in the Big Ten Conference.
It's interesting you say that, Chad, because one of the things that you hear about Kelly was that he was ahead of his time. He was the first guy to kind of bring in the spread, and people were still stuck in traditional defenses. It always reminds me of when Ditka and Buddy Ryan almost got in a fist fight at that Miami game because Danny Marino came out empty. They had 5, and Buddy Ryan would not take out Wilbur Marshall. No, he's my guy. Right. And Ditka was saying we need to go with 5 D backs. So, Kelly came in with that strategy, and people didn't want to change. Right. This is how we play D. And so, as a result, everybody's caught up. And, I know Kelly this year, from what my son has shared, had some real problems with where he was at. I'm not even sure where. Do you know where he was coaching this year in the NFL?
With the Raiders.
Okay,
he got fired about a month ago.
Yeah, Michael was saying they were trying to get guys in motion that were on the wrong side of the field. And
the Raiders is just a broken system right now. So, I mean, it's one of those cases where bad fit, bad situation. So maybe the college game is where he needs to be.
Yeah, well, and maybe we could convince Kiffin to go back to maybe.
Well, Indiana and Oregon, who's going to win?
I from what I have seen,
and I see your simulator also as a kind of one-sided.
It does. The simulator what it does is it takes Indiana's offense, it will add it to Oregon's defense, and it gets a total, divides by 2 and gets a mean, and then it flips it, Chad. Then it takes Oregon's offense, adds it to Indiana's D, gets a total, divides and gets a mean. And then in this instance, what the site says is that Indiana will have 370 yards in this game and Oregon 356.
The number that really jumps out on the simulator that, again, it goes back to third downs. I mentioned that Oregon was 3 of 14 the first time around, but generally this season, their third down conversion is not good. Indiana is much better at 45, almost 46%, while Oregon is under 37%. That's not a great number for a team that's won as much as Oregon's has.
Yeah, and now keep in mind these numbers, Chad, because I'm like, when I look back at national stats, like on the NCAA's statistical page, I won't see these numbers because these numbers are a combination of one's defense, and so they're not actual. What they we don't have it here, but the fact is this is what they will average against Oregon's defense, which is different than what they actually do. So sometimes it can speak to how good one of the teams is defending third down. And you pointed out, and I think you're right, 3 of 14 ain't going to get it done. You can't stay on the field.
Yep, exactly right. So, but in the end, I think it's going to be a very interesting game.
So do I.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a game that goes to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, these teams, they played for the Big Ten championship a year ago. And then they had a great game out in Eugene. I don't think people thought that Indiana could go out there and get it done. But they did. And, based on what you saw with what Indiana did to Alabama, but you also got to remember Georgia did that too, so it's maybe speaks more to where Alabama's at than separating Indiana from Oregon. And you've said twice or 3 times today, they shut out a team in the college football playoffs. So, I think this is going to be a very interesting game.
And then the second game we're going to talk about after we take a final break, it will be, again, Miami and Ole Miss. So a team from the past, back in the 80s, trying to return to glory. And then Ole Miss, the only glory that I think they've ever had was back when the guys named Manning were quarterbacking. So it's been a while for Ole Miss, but they have a chance. And we'll talk about that game coming up next as we continue here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Crab River Golf Course in Wausau is a unique 18-hole public course. The relaxed atmosphere and breathtaking Northwood scenery is sure to make your golfing day a satisfying experience. For membership information and tee times, call Crab River Golf Course at 715-675-3044.
France Propane at 1153 Foundry Street in Schofield is a local family-owned complete service company serving central Wisconsin for over 2 generations. France Propane is a value-driven company whose goal every day is to provide excellent service, maintain the highest safety, reliability in customer care, and competitive pricing. France Propane, service first, safety always. Check out France Propane at francepropane.com. For over 30 years, Webco has worked with corporations, schools, organizations on their apparel and promotional needs. Webco can handle small quantities to orders in the thousands with a fast turnaround. Webco of Wausau, 1405 West Thomas Street.
The Central Wisconsin School of Ballet is celebrating over 52 years of dance instruction. They offer classes in ballet, jazz, contemporary, modern, tap, and musical theater for ages 2 to 99. And did you know that ballet is used by college football teams as a conditioning and cross-training program? Stop in for a trial class, call for a brochure, or email your questions to the studio.
North End Pub. Cold beer, clever conversation. All stories cross-referenced for validity. If you're looking for a nice spot to hang with friends, North End Pub will do the trick. Stop in for thirst relief today. North End Pub, North 3rd Avenue, Wausau.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit newmancatholicschools.com to learn more.
Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes, and we got another game, actually the first game, which will be played on Thursday night. It is the Fiesta Bowl, as Ole Miss takes on Miami. It's always fun. It's funny to me, I guess, that the semifinal that has the team from the West is going all the way to the East, and the two teams from the East going all the way to the West. It feels like they could have had it settled where they could have had the two teams from the Southeast playing in the Southeast, and then you could have had the teams that are from either the western part of the country play in the western part of the country. But that makes too much sense.
Yeah, well, and I gotta say, on family budgets, this playoff, if you're a absolute fanatic in terms of the college team you support, man, your budget's going to take a hit because you're going to be potentially going out west and you're coming back. And, maybe what they should consider is setting the bracket and then based on the bracket, what makes the most sense for travel. But, they don't do it that way. They get those teams aligned or the bowl games aligned. And then, Chad, they are indifferent to who goes where. They just then look at, okay, what's the best matchup? Like on the high school level, you're familiar with WIA. more so than I, where they would say, okay, we're going to have some regional games first and not necessarily 8 versus 1 because of travel.
Well, let's talk about Miami and Ole Miss. And basically, this is kind of an opposites game because right now it looks like Miami is winning on the backs of their defense while Ole Miss is winning on the back of their offense.
Yeah, well, their quarterback passed for over 300 yards against a pretty good defense. And the first question you got to ask in this game is can Ole Miss deal with the pressure? Can they slow down those edge rushers and be able to protect Chambliss long enough for him to get the ball down the field? The other point is if they can run the ball, against them, then that's always another way to slow down a pass rush. Because if you force those guys to check step, to read run, at least for the moment, then that gives you the time your quarterback may need and the time for the receiver to create separation.
And what about Miami when they have the football against Ole Miss? Obviously they got Carson Beck, who's they brought in for a lot of money. They do have the potential of also being solid on the offensive side, correct?
Yeah, I think so. And Carson Beck 2 years ago was being talked as the number 1 pick. And then he went last year and things didn't work out well for him. He got hit a lot. I think there was a lot of gnashing and grinding of teeth about him complaining about the O-line, which Kirby seemed to take some kind of comeuppance with. He thought, hey, you got to shut up and play. Well, then, Beck left. He's been good, but not great this year. And I think Ole Miss is going to try to pressure him. Which is not a great revelation. If you can hurry somebody, Johnny Wooden used to say as one of his maxims, be quick, but don't hurry. Because if you hurry, you're going to get out of position and off balance, and you're going to make mistakes. And so it's going to be interesting to see how well Ole Miss is able to pressure Carson Beck. Because he has shown times where he can crack a little bit.
What does the game simulator tell us?
The game simulator says that Miami, in the 8 categories assessed, and it looks at total yards, passing yards, rushing yards. It looks at third down conversions. It looks at turnovers, which we haven't talked a lot about. It looks at red zone 2 ways. When you get in the red zone, do you score? And when you get in the red zone, do you score touchdowns? In both of those, in fact, in every category, but total yards and passing yards, Miami has the advantage.
And who do you like? Who's going to ultimately win this football game and make their way to the national championship game?
I'm going to tell you, I like Ole Miss.
Really?
I'll tell you why.
I was going to say Miami. I don't know why.
Yeah. And they very well, obviously, can win this game. I think that one of the things that Miami does, that Ohio State and who did Miami play in the first game? I'm drawing a blank now.
Texas A&M.
Yeah, A&M.
Yep.
They created an intimidating factor. I thought, they kind of got them on their heels. I don't think Ole Miss is going to have any issues with Miami coming in and try to gangster them. That's not going to happen. And so that's a big part of what Miami does. So psychologically, mentally, I don't think Ole Miss is going to care about that. And I think that creates enough of a venue, enough of a turn for Ole Miss to get this done.
Very interesting. So again, semifinals on Thursday and Friday nights, and then the national championship game after that. We got about 90 seconds to go. And now one final thing I want to kind of mention to you that yesterday was the condensed 15-day transfer portal window opened.
It did.
More than 3,700 Division I scholarship players entered the portal yesterday.
Across sports, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that is correct. No, that's football. That's just football.
Really?
That's yep. More than 3,700 Division I football players have entered the portal.
And I think Oklahoma State had 45.
They were the number one. Yep. But in this is just the first day. I mean, more can enter it over the next number. But Oklahoma State had 58. Iowa State at 50. Boy, that's too bad in a sense. Where you hate to see where a coach who built something up, the potential of having it come crumbling down very quickly could happen. West Virginia under Rich Rod, 40. Michigan State, 35. New coach, not surprising. Then the teams with the lowest. Ole Miss has 2, which is they're still playing, so I'm not surprised. They may after they're done, they may do it.
And don't you like Pete Golding the way he's handled all this?
Yeah.
I really.
But Iowa and Northwestern are only 3, and Stanford 4.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, I mean, when you look at was it Frank Wright and then Andrew Luck, you've got such quality at the top, and the last time I checked, getting into Stanford was harder than getting into Northwestern, Notre Dame, and such.
Well, I think we'll talk more about this in the next week or two because I think it'll be a continuing story here.
Yes.
Up. But Sully, we'll see you next week.
Hey, Chad, thank you for today. Good job.
We'll be back next week here on WXCO.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.